The radar is the guardian angel for ships that are in danger of crashing into other ships or icebergs, and for airplanes in danger of crashing into other airplanes or mountain peaks. The waves used in the radar apparatus are electromagnetic. They are waves that are invisible to the human eye, and whose nature and properties are the same as light. Put succinctly, radar uses the reflection of electromagnetic waves.
In astronomy, radar has proven to be very useful in measurements and detections that telescopes are unable to make because of the problems created by solar rays. Radar, however, is not affected by solar rays and freely transmits its waves everywhere.
Contemporary naturalists have noted that the first inventors of radar were bats. Every bat carries within it a complete radar, with the only difference being that instead of creating a reflection of electromagnetic waves, the bat creates a reflection of supersonic waves, something certainly more difficult and more evolved. Let us first discuss supersonic waves. When a body undergoes vibratory movement, it produces sound. The number of vibrations per second is called frequency. When the frequency is very high, we reach the supersonic. When the vibrations reach 20,000 per second, the sound produced can no longer be perceived by the human ear. These are supersonic. When the vibrations are below 16, we speak of the subsonic. The large energy transfer created by supersonic sound makes them especially interesting. Today, science uses them in various applications. In the creation of new types of metallic alloys and amalgams, in medical diagnosis, sound recordings, surgical interventions, chemical reactions, the purification of smokestacks, and many others. Returning to that strange mammal, the bat, we observe that while it has weak eyesight, it can move very quickly and comfortably in the dark. And not only can it fly, but it also captures many insects in total darkness, without colliding with electrical wires, columns, or walls.
In a scientific experiment, a bat's eyes were completely closed. Yet the bat flew with great comfort and caught mosquitoes and other insects and had no problem with its eyes being closed.
Recent scientific experiments have solved the mystery of the automatic orientation of bats. It was specified that this strange mammal possesses an extraordinarily complicated mechanism that functions like radar, with the difference that in place of radiomagnetic waves, it uses supersonic waves. This system of identifying sound is called sonar.
Every bat emits sounds, noises from its larynx. Because the human ear cannot perceive these sounds, we call them supersonic.
The emissions are short and intermittent, usually 20 to 30 per second, depending on the type of bat. The supersonic sounds are emitted from the nostrils, which together with the nose have a microphone apparatus that directs the sound to a particular point. The result causes marvel, astonishment, awe. Such bat-like mechanisms can also be found in dolphins, which emit supersonic waves at a frequency of 200,000 vibrations per second. Transmissions and receptions of waves are found in the insect world as well. It has been demonstrated in scientific experiments that many insects have antennas that do the work of transmitter and receiver. The most music-loving insect is thought to be the moth. The moth has a complete radio apparatus. The female moth transmits the message from the open window of the house. the male receives it on a certain wavelength and sends an appropriate response. In some such manner, romance begins in the world of moths and nearly always ends in marriage and, to be sure, many offspring. The contemporary science of bionics seeks all kinds of information in the boundless world of natural models. Technological wisdom is simply an imitation of natural wisdom. The study of biological methods and procedures leads to the solution of technological, mechanical, and even mathematical problems. Its symbol can be a complex incision, a soldering iron, or the mathematical symbols of integration. We find ourselves in the presence of a mighty alliance of biology, technological knowledge, and mathematics. It is certain that the future will demonstrate the strength of the eternal indissoluble bonds of this bionic alliance of forces, which was not created by an evolved synthesis of laws, but has always been and always will be a dynamic alliance between two worlds, which have the same structure, laws, and mode of operation, and that correspond to geometrically, mathematically, and functionally with all the forces that constitute the eternal whole of the universal world. I consider it essential, in the context of the information provided by this work, to refer to Charles Darwin's oft-discussed theory, published in 1859 in a book titled The Origin of the Species. In his book, Darwin describes his comparative studies from his travels for 20 whole years in many countries of the world, and especially in the Galapagos Islands of the archipelagos. In this book, Darwin writes that the species of the animal kingdom do not remain fixed as Aristotle held, but instead have a common origin and evolve with the passing of the millennia. Only those species of the animal and vegetal kingdom can survive that have the capacity to adapt to their environment, as their environment is formed by geological, physico-chemical, and other phenomena. All this certainly is claimed by Darwin, without his stating the reason for his views, or the details that concern the mechanism that sustains animals and plants on our planet's crust. Darwin's views stunned the scientific community of his day for the simple reason that if the theory of evolution held as he described it, every rational man would have to search back in time to discover his ancestors, the apes. Darwin, who had studied theology, was characterized as an atheist and was scorned in publications of the period as a descendant of the apes. Theological circles tried in every way to ridicule him. However, their claims opposing him, based on the Old Testament, were not viable. Darwin's error lay elsewhere, and his persecutors missed the mark. Today, in a period witnessing the astonishing rise of science in the principle and structures of the world, under the vigilant gaze of critical thinking, Darwin's theory constitutes a utopia, a fallacy. Let us examine things from the beginning. Darwin holds that man is one of the species of the animal kingdom, which, for some reason, acquired an evolved brain and succeeded with his intelligence to escape from the restrictive framework of natural selection.